We go.
Hello, how are
Morning,
you?
Michael. All right, very good there. Where are you calling in from today, Michael?
I'm in Michigan, just outside of Detroit in Grosse Pointe.
Oh, yes, yes, for sure. Okay. And for me, I'm actually in New Hampshire. So, yeah, and I spent a lot of my early career out in California working on my uncle's properties out there, getting a start in multifamily out there. So, I kind of like that background, and it's so cold up here right now, you know.
Yeah, I think we have a heat wave coming that's I think we're gonna be in the 40s by this weekend. So I'm
Oh,
looking forward to that.
yeah. Oh, well, then if you're getting it, we'll get it a few days later here. So that sounds good to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
All
I was
righty.
actually on the West Coast most of my career. I spent 10 years in Southern California between Burbank and Irvine, and
Ooh.
then back and forth to Seattle. So
Oh, okay. I think everybody spends some time out in California at one time in their life, and you've got what, 10 years in there. So
for real.
I think I was a couple years out there, Sausalito. My uncle had houseboats, so I would work on those. So I was in my 20s, you know. So
Yep.
interesting how careers develop. And so
Totally.
I was digging into your background. I saw you've got over 28 years multifamily operations and prop tech. So there's a rare combination. And you've been in the trenches on the tech side of this too, right?
Yeah. I started out on the site level, just happenstance property I was actually living in when I moved to California. I moved for film and television and didn't want to be, the waiter actor, right? Like, oh no, this is just my day job. I'm really this, and so I happened to just be doing some fixing up around the community that I lived in because it had an absentee manager and just again randomly ran into the owner of the building and didn't have a clue about property management at the time and told him about all the renovations I did on my apartment without authorization. And he's like, oh, I'd love to see it. And anyway, it ended, it all accumulated to an offer to manage the building that I was living at. And so that was the first property that I got vested in. So 82 unit garden style, loved it. Still remember 90% of the residents that live there. So, but yeah, that kind of led to the progression of my career in multifamily, and then inadvertently got drawn into the dark side and went over to the vendor side and helped the company go through.
That's really not your
Yeah.
typical kind of prop tech founder story. Does that
No,
kind of,
no.
yeah. Tell me more about it. I mean, how does that influence your leadership style and communication and everything?
I think it's twofold. It has impacted the way I look at the business from start to finish. I mean, just the birth of it was conceived based on the pain that I felt and I saw within our organization alone. The last 8 years or so of my career on the property management side, I was with Pinnacle before it was acquired by Cushwake. And, I worked with everything from C-suite to property level on project management and technology. And the two biggest factors that were painful across the board were security deposits and third party collections. And
Okay.
ironically, they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
So that led to my leap over to the vendor side on the third party collections component. Took that company through acquisition by Assurant, and then realized that I wanted to do more and really,
Mhm.
whiteboard, pen and paper, and conceived Deposit Cloud and bootstrapped it from the start and grew it very organically and under the radar as best I could. But from a leadership perspective, it really was, everything we do with the operator and resident in mind, which is
Mhm.
probably counterintuitive to some. But from a vendor perspective, they often are looking at their own, blinders on. We need to do X to make revenue. We need to tell them to do this so we make revenue. And we're very much more collaborative based. So we don't
Okay.
have clients, we have partners, right? We partner with our client base. Um, we lean on our advisory board, which is made up of current clients and leaders in our industry. And so we took the approach to innovate and elevate consistently, both from a renter and operator perspective.
Nice. Awesome. Right. Oh, um, so starting your journey out here, you went from operations into building a prop tech platform, right? Um, we can also get into your work with Resident Radius. Yeah, what's standing out most in your career right now as to how you got to where you are today?
I don't know if I could pinpoint one aspect. I think that the biggest difficulty for me, I'm a bit of a control freak. I like to see and feel everything that's going on in the organization, understand, exactly, where the pitfalls are, where the pressure is, where the potential for growth is. The larger you get, the more difficult it is. So giving up control, or perceived control, I should say, of different aspects or elements of the company is hard. So entrusting others to, carry the torch and focus on the aspects that, make us a better company, being able to just have those touch points or check-ins occasionally to get updates is a struggle for me. I want to be on every call. I want to know everything that's going on all the time, and it's just not realistic anymore. And so, for me, I think the big standout for it seems silly maybe even, but I got an executive administrator to, help with everything. She controls my calendar. She, blocks out time for me. She checks in with me, make sure that I'm checking in with different team members and or different divisions. And so I think that was the signifier. I don't want to say success, but I think that it was a milestone in our growth that I recognize as highly productive and highly beneficial. As difficult it is for me to release control and have somebody else that is, gatekeeping. It may seem kind of silly to say it out loud, but it really, settled with me in a way that, just hindsight made me realize that every step that we've taken along the path was critical and relevant. And these growing pains, as I perceive them, are part of the maturity and evolution of the company.
Nice, nice, nice. So for people who may not know your story yet, then how did you? What are the specific details on how you moved from property management operations into launching Deposit Cloud, which is now Resident Radius? What
Yeah, and that
specifically?
unpacking that whole thing is,
Yeah,
so the shortest version of it is I worked with a lot of the supplier partners that we had when I was with Pinnacle. And I got really close with the knowledge and the function on both sides of the equation, right? How does the vendor work? How does the operator work? And so I was really pulled over to the vendor side to help build a better product, right? How using my knowledge of the operator side to build it. And
yeah,
I did that for a number of years, 4 or 5 years. And then the company was acquired, and
yeah.
I used that as a jumping point to realize that if I really wanted to affect change at a level that I wanted, I would need to do it myself. I hadn't talked to anybody about starting this, and in hindsight, had I heard some of the statistics around starting a company, I probably would have run away. But I just, blinders on, head on. This is what I wanted to do, and focused and poured everything into it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Okay, were there specific operational pain points that made you say, yeah, there's got to be a better way, and I want to do it?
Yeah, I would say that, the majority of the concept came from the lack of confidence in the deposit alternatives that we had at the time. Most everything was surety bonds that you had out there, and the level of confusion at a renter level, right? The perspective of a renter coming in, oh,
Yeah.
you can pay $500 or you can pay $80 and you'll have a $500 bond. they didn't understand what that
Didn't.
meant, the liability, the responsibility at move out. Site level teams either couldn't or didn't do a great job of explaining it. And so ultimately it just translated into higher bad debt. And so the first pass was, I was like, oh, collections is where the fix is, right? How do we fix this or plug this bad debt? And I really looked at, the collection side of it, and hence, that's what led to that transition. Well, after many years in that, I realized that collections was the result of the deposit piece. Not primarily, but it contributed to it significantly, in that, too low of a deposit or too low of a barrier created more opportunity for abuse. Higher skips, higher evictions, more damage at move out. A renter that doesn't feel vested or have skin in the game doesn't really care at move out. And I've talked about this before. I have a whole new track on our industry. We are a hospitality driven industry, and we incentivize our leasing teams and site level teams to cater to incoming residents and current residents. So we treat all of these folks with hospitality in mind. The minute they get a notice, they switch to hospice. What do we do to get this resident out? How do we get a new resident in? And so that feeling is fractured. And if you think about, humans in general, we remember the first experience and the last experience. So no matter how great that move-in was, getting a bill in the mail when you think you have an insurance policy, or not having access to communicate with the site level teams because they're so busy, creates friction. And so the outlet for that is negative Google reviews. And so the majority of these Google reviews that you see that are negative, they're around the move out process, the security deposit, the timing, the refund component, all of that. And so for me, we really are focused on bridging that gap, making it easier, more affordable for residents to move in, staying engaged through occupancy, and then automating and facilitating that move out process, but with human contact.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is a breakthrough in the industry here. So wonderful. Were there lessons from that operational experience that shape how you design technologies, specific technology now? Could you go into that?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, the benefit of working for a large fee manager is you have a lot of different owners. And when you have owners, you have owner prerogative, you have owner directives. And so what I realized was, within Pinnacle, we had massive amounts of variations in the way that we provided services, whether it was the property management system, the screening provider, the payments processing, the website design, all of these nuances to it. And so fundamentally, we built Deposit Cloud on a two-prong foundation: compliance and customization. And so everything within our stack is customizable at an owner level, an operator level, or even a property level. And so by allowing the ability to apply rules or logic to a specific property or a portfolio or a region or even an owner. So when you have a fee manager that has, multiple ownerships, and the owner has a prerogative to, hey, we want this deposit alternative offered to every single resident that comes in the door. We stack the deck. We are able to provide that option for those communities under that owner, even though that operator may have an alternative model that is their standard. And so creating cohesive compliance with legislation and move out processing, combined with the customization at those layers, allows us to truly support all of those potential clients, whether they're an owner operator or fee manager with significant ownership groups under them.
Nice. So you're heavily focused on resident receivables, deposit management, and forward-thinking exits and eviction mitigation. I would say that, correct? Why are these areas so critical to NOI? Why? I mean, it's a basic question here.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I think that it's there's a couple different swim lanes as we talk through them, and one led to the other. So the original deposit cloud platform was essentially just the cash management. Pay your deposit. There's an installment plan, easier refunds. We then recognized that the gap for our space was the flexibility. And so we inserted into our stack the security deposit alternatives so that we could combine what the operator owner wanted into a single cohesive resident experience. And when we did that, we also recognized when COVID hit that parts of our platform lent themselves to support COVID in a meaningful way. And so we spun off the eviction mitigation tool, which allowed residents to transfer their ledger balance from the property management system into our environment, and then allowed us to manage long-term payment plans to maintain current occupancy and reinstate on-time rent behavior. Well, that became a very big focus during COVID. And then subsequently, resident communication fell into it. So our resident outreach tool, we could customize, resident comms, voice and text and email. And so all of these things, if you think, really work together, but the security deposit aspect, higher deposit, higher quality occupant, longer residency, less damage at move out, less turn costs, less bad debt, higher NOI. So as you look at, if you can keep residents housed, right, repay the rent through a third-party program that cleans the ledger and simplifies this task for the site level teams, reduce damage at the communities, reduce turn costs, overall, you're increasing the NOI. I mean, we've seen pretty substantial asset valuation increases. We acquired a company called Gumbi a couple of years ago now. It was founded by a former Blackstone asset management guy, super smart. And within that product, we built a security deposit and analysis tool. So we're able to ingest a T12 report and articulate, and this is the shift. A lot of vendors show what they think is a good idea. Hey, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. We flipped it and went from a show real data, not tell. And so we're able to use client data and say, hey, here's where your deposits are at. This is the risk. This is the problem. Here's where they should be. And this is the lift. And this is the benefits. And so all of those different pieces kind of combined to create an overall value. And I'll argue it's not just NOI. It's operational efficiency, because if you think about software or technology solutions in our space, predominantly they add workload to the site level and operations. There's a perceived value, right, at the top level. Oh, more reporting, more transparency, compliance. But ultimately, when you get down to the buy-in at the property level, it's significantly lacking because they keep getting bombarded with all this new tech. Our solution reduces the workload. It actually creates an amenity in the security deposit aspect. And so it makes that property more competitive. We teach the leasing teams how to talk around that. At move out, they don't have to deal with the former resident experience. We take it on. All our team members are trained with empathy and conflict resolution. We speak 10 languages. The app is translatable into 114 plus languages. So we're very resident-centric, right? Because we believe that the resident communication is critical to the experience and ultimately the brand identity of that client.
The brand, the reviews,
Exactly.
et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah.
The long view versus the quarter. And how has that been a focus for you? You're making significant strides in this industry and revolutionizing areas that people kind of take for granted. Um, and that requires a short-term view and a long-term. How do you balance those out?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'll tell you, the struggle for me was, I mean, we're in year 9, right?
Oh,
So we were really quiet, the first few years, but the biggest difficulty for us was the lack of competition. I mean, we were truly first to market for a number of years, and so we spent more time, I should say, I don't want to say arguing, but trying to recognize our value in the industry and
mm,
translate that to an operator's perspective. And then as more competition came out, we rose to the top as the industry original and the most innovative in the space. When you look at growth, I think there's a two, especially for Bootstrap, right? I mean, there's a lot of these companies that, they're promoting, oh, we took exciting news. We took X millions of dollars and, oh, we're on, series C, D, E. For me, there's a really, really important or influential advisor that I had when I started the company. His name's Len
mhm,
Kusul. He's co-founder of another company called PayReady. And he sat down with me and he said, look, he said, I love your enthusiasm, all this marketing and the tchotchkes and things. He says, but where you really need to focus your energy is development, own the product, build something unique, and the rest will come. Grow organically, grow under the radar, and don't take money. He said, when you take money, it's not an opportunity, it's an obligation, and you
mm,
lose the ability to influence the direction of your company potentially, especially if you take money too soon. And then the other thing that I really looked at was that oftentimes these raises are last ditch efforts to stay in business. A lot of these companies are taking money because they haven't cash flowed, they don't generate income, they have way too many expenses. And so it's interesting to watch in our industry different spaces or verticals that are constantly raising money. They become this habitual pattern. Okay, we raised money, now we got to start working on the next raise. And so you lose focus, you lose the ability to put attention towards your own growth. And so I think that was very instrumental in that short-term and long-term goals for us as we look at it. And Ash Bell, he's president and COO. He's
mm,
massive experience in our space. He has been great to partner with and work on, where is our growth, where is our trajectory, where is our focus, and we consistently evaluate. Are we at a point where we want to take an investment to accelerate growth beyond where we're at? What are the pitfalls of it? And so the short-term view for us was build product, make it the best, and innovate. The long-term
mhm.
goal for us is what do we do to consistently and accurately scale? So where are the resources that we bring on or add to handle these massive operators that are onboarding? And so we've done that
Right.
more so in the last, probably, I think we've had the most human capital growth in the last 6 months. Key stakeholders. We brought on an amazing EVP of customer success. She's been in the industry a long time. Her name's Nikki Trimble, and she went in and just gutted our account management workflows and processes and redesigned them all so that she felt confident and comfortable in the way that she was managing those teams and the communication with clients. How critical the handoff from sales to account management is. The inclusion of the key stakeholders, our EVP of development, Daria,
Mhm,
making sure that everybody has cohesive communication, because we have to partner with our clients in such a meaningful way that we stay
mhm.
engaged but support them in their needs and address them as quickly as we can. So our
Right.
long-term goal, right, is continue to build out the ecosystem that we have. We're not adding any new product channels at this point.
Mhm,
There's a couple that are on the back burner that are related, but I think the most important thing for companies to focus on is the continuity and the the symbiotic nature of products. If
Yeah.
if you're a car dealership, you're not going to go out and add a telephone company to your portfolio. They don't make sense. So for us, it's just making sure that the products we're building and the enhancements that we're making are
Hmm.
needed, wanted, and make sense.
Nice. Um, Shifting gears a little bit here. In your opinion, what are operators still underestimating when it comes to cash flow leakage? What are they still not getting right, in your opinion?
I think fees. So the concept of capped like a fee in lieu of deposit. One, those are going to become legislatively difficult to support as these fee transparency acts and renters' choice type legislation spreads. But I feel there is a misconception that when you book a fee at move-in towards revenue and you hold that in some type of interest bearing account or something, that it creates more value than having cash on hand at a resident level. Ultimately, cash is king. If you combine it with the right products or you have the protections in place for specific deposit alternatives, I think those are beneficial. But fees typically run at loss, right? If you look at a loss
Yeah.
ratio on a per average move out, the cost of a move out compared to what that fee is upside down. And so I don't think that there's as much value in that. It's smart because you avoid a lot of the legislative or compliance aspects in doing so from that perspective. But the increase in workload, the negative resident experience, and things like that, I think have more negative aspect to them than positive.
All right. And you described yourself as having a supplier partner lens when you look at systems. So what does that mean in very practical terms here?
Yeah, always
Yeah.
looking at what we do from the operator perspective.
Hmm.
I've listened to a lot of pitches over the years where supplier partners that either have zero or little experience in the real estate industry or no practical operational experience tell operators what they're doing wrong and that they can fix it. I think that is a huge miss
Yeah.
because operators know what they're doing. They look at technology to solve specific pain points, and while there may be unforeseen pain points that they're experiencing right now, they do know where their gaps are and where they're trying to build and grow. And so when we partner with a new client, we have to look at their organization as unique, right? Because they have shaped and formed their operations in the way that they saw was optimal for their growth. And so when we partner with a client, we have to look at their unique situation and customize some of our workflows to support that. We absolutely act in the spirit of collaboration and
Mm.
and share guidance that we believe would be beneficial, but ultimately it's the client's decision. And so we
Mm.
want to make sure that it's a great fit, and we continuously are focused on the needs of the operator, not selfishly the vendor side of it.
Okay. Michael, so moving on to how did the evolution from deposit cloud to resident radius reflect something in the broader industry, like the shifting of the broader industry, or did it?
Yeah, I think it was more uh, strategic in
Okay.
inevitability. So we launched as Deposit Cloud. We rolled out additional products, EasyPay, Resident Outreach, so all these subsequent product lines, and there became confusion on which one we were. And so the shift or the incorporation of Resident Radius as the overarching brand was really designed. I would say is tantamount to like a real page example, right? Resident Radius is essentially the real page component of us, and then Deposit Cloud, EasyPay, Resident, those are all the service lines. Fundamentally, folks really know us as Deposit Cloud, and so that's our key, or our standard, go to market
Mhm.
offering. So we really more represent just Deposit Cloud on a whole. Just knowing that Resident Radius is really the umbrella, or the top of the org.
In your opinion, what kind of mistakes do multifamily operators make when they're adopting new technology?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, yeah,
So, uh,
different for everyone, perhaps, but
yeah, I think that we've had really, really great operator experiences,
mm,
especially like go live. There's a large operator that there was some acceleration in the timeline due to some legislative changes that occurred in California. But
mm,
they're a significantly large operator, and they went from MSA to go live in 8 days, which
oh my.
is unheard of. Our average is about 40 days from MSA to go live, and this operator had every I and T crossed, and they brought in, each level of the organization was involved in that process, and so it went really smoothly. I think for me, one of the biggest pitfalls is speed or haste, and so
Mm,
we
mhm,
always we we have a little joking term. If we're going to get married, we need to date first. And so, we always advocate for a pilot or a phase one group that we iron out the kinks. And any vendor that tells you it's going to go smooth and seamlessly and there won't be any issues, I always say run away, just because there is always going to be some hiccup, and we just own it. We let folks know up front. Let's run it this way. Let's iron out any of the kinks. If there's an issue, we'll solve it. We'll resolve it, and then we'll move forward. And so, I
mhm,
think speed can sometimes impact the quality of rollout. And then
mhm,
lastly, I would say top-down buy-in. If you do not
mhm,
get boots on the ground buy-in, fundamentally you will fail. And so organizations that don't get their site level teams really excited about something will not have the success that they potentially could have. And I think that's probably the
mm,
biggest one for me, is making sure that every layer of the organization knows what's coming, has buy-in and feedback, and can get
mhm.
excited about it.
That'd be the key to you to successfully introducing new technology right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So, Michael, how do you see centralized service compliance and automation evolving over the next year or two? What's coming at us down the road here?
Yeah, I
And
think that's
specifically in your organization too.
Yeah, I'd say it's a double-edged sword, right?
Mm,
Conceptually, centralization is great, right? Reduced headcount, reduce workflow, consolidate to have better visibility and consistency in processes, and create a unique experience for the resident, um, while reducing costs and increasing potential revenue. So it sounds great. The problems or pitfalls with it are the execution. How many pieces are you centralizing? Are there critical pieces that are centralized that create gaps? Are you
mm,
missing a critical component of it? I would say, we built our platform in a way that it could be used in either case: automate or centralize. So in a centralized perspective, the client can actually use our platform to navigate the move out process and facilitate all that communication and those
mhm.
pieces of it, or they can just rely on us to do it. And so I think
Okay.
that, in the future, right, the big buzz right now, AI. I think
Yeah.
AI will have some very positive impact on our industry, but I also think there's inherent risk in it because it's so unknown. We don't know
Mhm.
what the aspects for PII are. We don't know what the legislative restrictions or potential pitfalls will be in AI communication or AI knowledge. Looking at the most recent lawsuits that have happened or settlements around like revenue management and the sharing of data or potential data aggregation. these AI models, are they siloed? Are they aggregating data? Are they anonymizing it? So for us, when we look at centralization as a broader topic, it's how do we fundamentally fit into the operator's needs and flow? And how do we protect the operator from potential risks, seen or unseen, as we move forward? And so staying on top of legislation, compliance, staying on top of technology, AI, where can you use it? Where can't you use it? Fundamentally, we do not use AI in any human contact. So all of our emails, all of our resident calls in and out, they're all human based. We always have templates and things like that. We tend to leverage AI more on the back end from a coding development perspective. We are in a siloed environment for it to be protective there. And then using it for like QA testing to ensure that we can move fast, but still have visibility into it. So I think that for me, centralization, the biggest pitfall is the reliance on AI. We just don't know where it's going to go.
Got it. Okay. So, Michael, you're an official partner of the Multifamily Innovation Council. With that responsibility, what trends are you seeing that most owners have not caught on to yet?
Yeah, I think the benefit of being a part of it is that, we get dedicated time with a very high level group of operators and supplier partners, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. And I think the thing that's most surprising to me is how consistent the pain is, from owner operator to fee manager to West, East, Central, Midwest. There's nuances to it that are legislatively more complicated, but the overarching themes that we hear or we talk about are similar across the board. I think that the focus and the energy is really in consistency and communication within each organization, and that applies both to the supplier side and the operator side. But I think that with that, we don't pitch within that environment. We just talk about the changes and nuances to operations or perspectives from either side. But I think that it's a great opportunity for folks to understand what operators are going for, especially on the supplier perspective when they don't have historic experience. I mean, I've been out of operations from the operator side a long time now, which was surprising to me when I really reflected. I was like, oh wow, it's been a little longer than I thought. So there's definitely change that's occurred within our industry, but there's still a consistent underlying current of difficulty on these pieces, whether it's moving from one property management system to another. It's very painful. Right. It's very time invasive, right? It's very distracting, whether it's adopting a new piece of technology and rolling it out. And so I think that those pain points are consistent across the board and continuously through time. So it doesn't really matter if it's 10 years ago or 10 years from now. I think that we will always feel those pieces, but I think the key message is consistency and communication.
Right. So if you were to be advising a, say, mid-sized multifamily operator right now, what operational upgrade would you prioritize for them first?
Well, selfishly, I would always lean into what we're doing, but that's not necessarily the case, right?
Okay.
So I think that for me, I would advocate for the consistency and controls, like rights and roles, ensuring that, from an operator perspective, you can't execute new technology without fundamentally having focus on your internal systems, processes, and procedures. So locking down, controls at the site level to only allow what they should or should be focused on, right? Centralizing some of those decisions, right? Whether you have a CRO or a CTO or someone that can establish a standard tech stack right? Not
Mhm.
deviating too much from that. Obviously, if you're a fee manager, you've got to adopt other technology, but you should have a primary stack that is your preferred, right? Hey, this is
Yep.
our option A. If you need something else, we can plug it in, but making sure that they're sophisticated in the approach and the layout of their tech stack and the compliance and communication pieces within that.
Nice, nice. Michael Bowman, thank you for joining us here on the Real Estate Mavericks. And can you let everybody know where they can get a hold of you? Your website?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn, Michael
Yep.
Bowman. They can also reach out through our website, depositcloud.com contact page, or email any of us through the sales@depositcloud.com email.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Michael. All
Definitely. Thank
right.
you.
Great conversation here. So with this, Michael, we're wrapping it up here now. We'll go through and we'll pull out Zoom snippets in here for your use, which I don't know if that speaks to our focus level these days, but they'll be, 30-second to, you've got great technical experience here in your field. And, we don't want to cut off your answers here. So I would push for some of them to be in the 3 to 4 minute range, even, would really showcase, your obvious experience and leadership in the field. So we'll send those, and we'll also send you a copy of the podcast. And if you think there's something in there that's secret sauce, like, was there anything in there you think might? No, okay, I didn't think so either. But
Yeah.
I always ask that question. Like your comfort with what you're putting out there would be paramount. So just let us know, and if you don't want
Absolutely.
something.
No, that's great. I appreciate it. It was great. I appreciate the opportunity. It was great getting to meet with you.
Yeah, yeah. And for me personally, I have like quads and I have a 6 unit in my portfolio, which I started managing years ago. So I have some on the ground experience, and I'm glad I leave that to the professionals these days for sure. But thank you. I mean, you're bringing all this new technology and leadership to this space that needs it in a big way. I think my
Thank
personal
you.
opinion, which I tried to leave out of the thing too. So thank you. And very good. So we'll look forward to um, perhaps I'll give you a shout when the snippets are ready and we'll get them passed over to you. And on an aside here, we do work in the AI field ourselves as well. So, I've got a team of people I work with here on that. And if you feel like you have any interest in building more of that out, I can provide that as well. Some people are interested, some people are not, and that's totally cool. So, yep, we'll send that
Yeah.
over to you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Michael. All righty. Look forward to sending that out to you, and good luck.
All right. Take
Looks
care.
like you're
Thank
doing
you.
you're doing great. So,
Appreciate
all
it.
right.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.